Getting a credit card is a serious financial decision and one that shouldn't be taken lightly. One of the very basic definitions of a credit card is that it is a tool that is thin and rectangular in shape and provides cardholders with immediate access to borrow funds to pay for products and services with any merchant who accepts that form of payment. As with any loan, there are terms and conditions associated with those borrowed funds and agreements made between the cardholder and the credit card issuer. This very simple and easy to use tool can be a little complicated and can open the door to many financial problems for those who don't understand the terms and conditions associated with their credit cards. Due to this, you may encounter many tales or folklore that may lead you to believe that credit cards should be avoided like a plague. And if you aren't careful, following these myths can potentially do more harm than good to your credit score. So in today's video, I want to share 5 credit card myths that you may have heard and lay those misconceptions to rest, because these false tales shouldn't deter you from getting a credit card and also shouldn't prevent you from building a good credit history. This very first myth I heard before I was even old enough to get a credit card, and that advice was to simply stay away from credit cards. This misconception is typically based upon one's personal negative experience with using a credit card. A lot of people who've had negative experiences with credit cards have displayed bad habits and lack financial responsibility, and also do not understand what they've signed up for. In fact, they may not understand any of the following: how credit card interest rates are calculated and accrues over time, how to set a monthly budget and stick to it, fees including penalty fees that are disclosed in their credit card agreement, and most importantly, do not understand how to build good credit. So it is important to question the individual who tells you to stay away from credit cards. Ask them why and evaluate their answer. And while you evaluate their answer, remind yourself that credit mix accounts for 10% of your credit score. This means that up to 85 points of your credit score is based upon the different types of accounts you have opened on your credit profile. This second myth is based on the assumption that you will not be responsible as a credit card holder. Yes, it is true that the temptation will be there to swipe your credit card to purchase something that you don't need nor have the money to pay for out of pocket. Let's face it, living in a nation such as the USA that is obsessed with consumerism means that this second myth will become the reality for a lot of irresponsible Americans. Everywhere we turn, there's always the latest and greatest product that's hit the shelves, and it's something that you absolutely need to have in your possession. Whether it's the latest iPhone that comes with a slightly different body style and slightly better display screen, or it's the latest TV with 8K resolution that you absolutely need to replace your aging 2-year-old 4K TV, or if it's that dream vacation you always wanted to take but didn't have the money saved up to pay for it. There's always going to be something that catches your eye, and this myth assumes that you will not be able to say no to these temptations, so you'll end up swiping your credit card and getting into a lot of debt. The simple answer to this is that you can't owe on what you don't borrow, so treat your credit card like cash in your bank account and you'll never overspend and end up in a lot of credit card debt. This next misconception equates credit utilization with carrying a balance from your credit card statement. The main focus of this myth is that you need to show that you're using your credit cards by having a balance reported to the credit bureaus, so it discourages folks from paying their statement balance in full. But speaking about credit card balances, you need to understand 2 things. One is the active balance, and the second is the statement balance. The statement balance is what you owe at the end of your billing cycle, which is typically between 20 to 45 days from your first transaction during that period. This balance is the balance that you need to pay in full by the statement due date to avoid being charged interest. And this is with most credit cards. Some credit cards charge interest from the transaction date with no grace period whatsoever, so make sure you avoid those. The active balance is your current balance on your credit card for all transactions. This includes your spending during the current billing cycle and can include your statement balance if the statement balance has not yet been paid. I personally pay my statement balance in full every month, in addition to paying a portion of my active balance. This strategy ensures that I won't have to pay any interest while also keeping a utilization rate between 1 to 3% reported to the credit bureaus. I found that my credit score drops by approximately 20 points when a zero balance is reported for any of my credit cards. This could be different for you because your credit history and number of accounts may be different from my own. So yes, you need to show utilization to have the highest credit score possible, but by no means does this mean that you should not pay your statement balance in full and be charged interest. For a more detailed explanation of this, click on this video. The goal is to pay your credit card statements on time, and you should always do this to avoid any penalty fees and also avoid any risk of losing your credit card benefits. However, life happens and there may come a time where you may miss your credit card payment by one day or a few days. This can be unsettling, but it doesn't mean that your credit score is immediately in jeopardy. Missing a payment can negatively impact your score, but usually only if you miss the due date by at least 30 days. Credit card issuers usually won't report a late payment to the credit bureaus if the payment is less than 30 days late. Although this fact can help you to breathe a breath of fresh air, remember that it is important to always make on-time payments so that you won't suffer any other consequences such as late fees. On-time payments also count for 35% of your credit score. That's almost 300 points, which is huge. This means that if you have a poor on-time payment history, then it would literally be impossible for you to have a good credit rating. To avoid any issues, set up automatic payments to at least cover the minimum payment every month in case you forget. Be sure to read the terms and conditions in your credit card agreement for more information. The idea that having multiple credit cards is a bad idea couldn't be farther from the truth. I actually fell victim to this belief because it took me 5 years to get my second credit card because I believed that having one credit card was sufficient. By doing this, I settled for 1% cashback on purchases that could have earned higher cashback or reward points for several years. In addition, because my only credit card was a simple cashback credit card, I paid a great price in opportunity costs for the potential missed value for travel. Another reason having at least one additional credit card is a good idea is in case you experience fraudulent activity with your credit card. I went through this and it took approximately 2 weeks to get a replacement credit card, but most importantly, my credit history was removed from my credit report as my credit card issuer had to apply all of that history to the new account. This caused my credit score to drop by nearly 100 points temporarily. This happened while I was in the middle of moving, which isn't a good time to experience something like this. Imagine having this happen when attempting to qualify for a mortgage to make a purchase. Yikes. Not only did I temporarily lose my payment history, but I also temporarily lost the only revolving credit account I had on my credit report. Having multiple credit cards with good history could have softened this impact because I would have at least had history from another credit card and also would have been able to maintain a mix of credit on my credit report. Yes, it is true that a credit inquiry will be added to your credit report each time you apply for and open a new credit card, which will lower your score temporarily due to the hard pull, but the fact remains that the actual number of credit cards you have isn't used in calculating your credit score. These are just 5 common myths that I've heard as it relates to credit cards, and if you've heard any myths that I haven't shared, be sure to share them in the comments section. As always, you've made it to the end of this video, so that means that it is time for you to come and get your high five.